a lot of your messaging, I don't agree with it at all.
What side are y'all on? Do you want to glorify righteousness, or do you want to glorify wretchedness and evil?
When we see people sell trauma, we feel I can relate. And that's how I can discern that you're one of my people.
In real life, I'm a father in a committed relationship. I'm a community member that's an active tax-paying citizen. But on the microphone, I'm a menace and I kill people. So you're this in real life, but on the microphone, you choosing to be a person who morally is like way down here.
Why are you doing this to my rappers?
They appear to be winning from the outside looking in, but they're really just searching for validation. It's not people that's the enemies down here. It's the evil spirits that's working through people.
All right, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Boy Art Show. I go by the Boy Art, and today I'm joined by some very special people. The reason why I have Wolf here is because I feel like when you're having a high-level conversation or a high-level anything, you got to have somebody who can also compete on that same level. And you want to introduce yourself before we get to the main?
Yo, it's
course.
Wolf Taylor from the Halfway Up podcast. Shout out to Art. I don't know how I got here, but I'm very honored and grateful for it.
All right, let's get right into the show, man. We got Dee-1. How you doing, King? How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, bro. Like this is a life-changing day for me, you know? Am I able to say what I did earlier?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
did the Breakfast Club, and I don't want to be shy about that. That is something I have wanted to do for a long time, bro.
It's a milestone.
It's on my career bucket list, honestly. And one thing that kind of threw me off, this is dope, because this is kind of like a recap of everything I was feeling earlier today. One thing that threw me off, in a good way, was Charlamagne and Envy. They both they view me as just like, oh yeah, D, we thought you been up here before. We know, everybody know D1 type stuff. And I was like, that's cool that y'all are that familiar with me or my work that y'all feel that way. But for me, it's like, no, this is a big deal. Not because I'm starstruck with individuals and human beings, but I respect the brand that's been built. I want to show how grateful I am for this opportunity, but I also want to bring something to this space and add to it, as opposed to just like, let me just come up here and just let it be the status quo. It's like, nah, like there's something that God has put into me that I know is impacting the world right now, and I got to bring that to whatever space I enter, including the Breakfast Club. So it was great, man. It was great. And then being able to come and share this space with y'all is really helping me figure out how to keep digging deeper within myself to always electrify like the people I'm in front of, you know, from an authentic place. Like not reaching for content, but digging deep so that you can add to the spaces you enter.
I listened to the album, so I'm familiar with a lot of the messaging on there. There is a record on there where you talked about Imposter Syndrome. So that moment right there, is that how you felt? Because when they were saying, oh, D1, like, you been here before. Like, so to them, it's like, you here. Like, you're him already. You know, like to use the phrase. And then for you to push back against that, is that kind of like your imposter syndrome?
Probably so, because I still, honestly, and I alluded to it at the end of the interview, I said, man, a lot of times in industry spaces, I feel tolerated, not necessarily celebrated, you know? So it is interesting when you enter a space and people are like, oh yeah, brother, we saluting you big time. To have Charlamagne and Envy on air say, man, we want to sign the platinum pledge, you know, that you come out with, that you pushing like this agenda to get rid of murder music and get rid of, you know, music that's glorifying murder and selling dope and disrespecting women. Like, to hear that stuff, it was like, these dudes not acting like I don't belong here, so why should I come across like I don't belong in these spaces, you know? I feel like, I say this on the end of my song, Lines Drawn. I say, the goal is how to be in this world, but not of this world.
Yeah.
You know?
Scripture, bro.
If you knowing that you're not of this world, you are gonna have a different level of humility, also a different level of confidence when you enter spaces. And those are often two different things. You know, when you talk about humility, which is being humble, people don't associate that with being supremely confident. And that's a duality that I want to like be an embodiment of, is people being like, that's somebody that's super, like, you ain't gonna find nobody more humble than that, but you ain't gonna find nobody more bold and more confident than that. And that comes from the God that I know I serve.
Staying on that real quick, because you also continuously say, you know, I'm in the industry, but I'm not of the industry. Why do you make an emphasis to like make that distinction?
I'm not of this industry, meaning the newest car don't matter to me. I got a Honda Accord and I'm perfectly fine with it. You know what I'm saying? The most jewelry don't matter to me, bro. Like, I'm cool. I wear my grandma on my neck. You know what I mean? This watch, this a gift from my brother Lupe Fiasco, you know? Gave me this when we was on tour together. Like, just stuff that matters to this industry oftentimes. It literally doesn't matter to me because it's like I could have those things 100 times over, but I'm just like, it holds no value to me, so I don't even want one of them, let alone 100 of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's biblical, bro. Somewhere in the Bible it says, be in the world, not of the world. And a lot of these material possessions are used to like subdue people. It's like you get the watch, you get around the girls, you get around these material things, and then you start to lower your sense of morale. You start to lower your character for it. So you're really protecting yourself because you know.
I see so many people in this industry who they appear to be winning from the outside looking in, and they're smiling, and they are posting, but really they're searching.
What do you mean?
They're really just searching for validation. And they're searching for validation in the form of likes, in the form of comments, in the form of the company that they're amidst. Them being able to say, I'm hanging out with this other celebrity in the club, or I got this many girls in my section. It's just simply them searching for validation. You move different when you already know that you're validated, and when you simply like, yo, this is just part of my job right here, is I'm doing an appearance in this club. So yeah, I'm here right now, but I'm gonna socialize and then I'm gone, you know? Versus the people that it's like, bro, you're infatuated in a sick way with portraying this certain image, you know what I mean? Or having to get into costume every day to be somebody that you really aren't. Dee-1 and David are the same person, bro. The same person, you heard me? Dee-1 is just a stage name.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine being like, so this is David, but wait, I'm about to go around 4 cameras and I'm about to go around a few industry people. So
to put your mask on.
Gotta put my Dee-1 mask on, you know, and I can't break character. I can't let David slip out during this interview. There's gotta be Dee-1.
I thought that was a part of hip hop, that personality, that, I don't want to say costume because I don't want to make it look like you're fake, but just when you have a stage name, I thought that was rooted in hip hop to be that person, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you are that person. I remember when Monique was on Shane and Sharp, she was like, when I'm on stage, I'm Monique, but when I'm off the stage, that's not who I am. And she was like, people see me oftentimes and they, why aren't you cussing? Or why aren't you this? And they're like, because that's not who I am. When I'm on stage, I'm the Monique the entertainer. Why can that distinction happen in hip hop?
If you're gonna be somebody other than who you really are, I would think that you would want to be a better version of who you naturally are, right? Because now when you're on stage, you got an audience of thousands of people, sometimes millions of people when we factor in social media. The thing about hip hop is you got people that are saying, in real life, I'm a father, I am in a committed relationship,
Right.
I'm a loyal son or grandson, I'm a community member that's an active tax-paying citizen. But on the microphone, I'm a menace, you heard me? And I kill people, and I got bodies under my belt, and I sold dope, and yeah, and I'm sleeping with your baby mama, and I'm gonna take your girl, I'm gonna F your girl. Man, what?
Yeah.
So you're this in real life, but on the microphone, you choosing to be a person who morally is like way down here. We have become so numb and so desensitized to like murder, right? To where we listen to it and consume it, and we don't find anything wrong with it. We will get mad at people if they try to talk out against it and saying like, yo, we don't need to have no more of that in our music. But we don't see any other community that is do white people get killed? Of course white people get killed all the time. Do other ethnicities get killed? Of course they do. Do gay people get killed? Do Jews get killed? Of course they
Every
get
culture.
killed. But they haven't said, well, we're going to also make it a habit to glorify us getting killed in the music that we create. It's us.
It's just us.
It's our people.
Yeah.
And there has been such a market created for it that now we are so desensitized to it that it don't even sound like anything bad when you hear it. Like you hear somebody talking about, I said it today, if a white person said the N-word one time, bro, we ready to cancel them. And they can't, you know, like, nah, they can't ever live that down, right? But with us, if somebody is rapping about, you know, wanting to put a bag on somebody's head and spinning the bin to slide on their ops and all this stuff, bro, that means nothing to us. That don't make the hair on our arm stand up.
Yeah.
Until Nipsey Hussle gets killed.
Yeah.
Until Takeoff gets killed.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, whoa, we need to stop the violence. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, hip hop. Like, come on, man. You know?
Yeah.
Even further, like, there's a constant theme in hip hop where, like, rappers will speak about utilizing kids to do their bidding, right? It's like, I get the lil homie to handle it for you.
Yes.
It's a constant theme that gets used in hip hop all the time. It's like, we never blink our eye and think about that. Or even rappers will go so far to say, like, when it's time to retaliate, like, I'll find where your mom stay. It's 100 rhymes about this. Like people, our people on record saying that, you know, if it got to go down like that, like, I'll shoot up your mom's crib.
Straight up.
We don't think about that at all. It's just one in out the other in your subconscious.
I'm trying to make people feel again, because right now we numb, bro. We numb. We are totally desensitized to what should be an atrocity, to where we like, man,
Atrocity.
ain't no way in the world we should be glorifying this stuff. We could talk about it, but there's a way to talk about it artistically, to where you describing conditions and you describing heartbreak from the past and man, maybe what you were on at one time in your life. You know what I'm saying? You were on that.
What y'all saying got me thinking literally in this moment, like, maybe in this world, are we lacking empathy? Because growing up, I was always taught, you know, to empathize with someone is to be able to directly put yourself in their shoes and feel their pain and what they're living. And I feel like that's what y'all describing. It's like we're letting shit pass because maybe we're just not empathizing with one another.
I think it's deeper than us not empathizing with one another. I think that we don't love ourselves enough as Black people to want to stand up against this. Like, we don't, bro. Black people and women, those are the two groups, and specifically Black women. We can't sit here and say that we are truly tired of, you know, what's going on, that's belittling us and that's talking down towards us. We can't truly say that, because we are the ones who are willingly participating in the belittling and in the negative talking towards at this point. And we're doing it because we're justifying, like, look, that's what the people want to hear, or, man, I'm getting a bag from that, you know?
Yeah.
We're doing that to ourselves. Show me where gays or Jewish people are openly, publicly disrespecting one another. Like show me, because when they do it and when they make it okay in that space, guess what that does? That makes it okay for other people to then start saying, oh, well, we're going to get back to talking about, you know, the Jews, or we're going to get back to talking about the gay people or something like that. It becomes okay if they see that you're okay with it.
So when do we, to reference your song, when do we as Black people, and African-American people, when do we draw a line in the sand?
I just drew the line. I think at the end of last year, man, when I did an interview on Sway, and I realized during that interview, I just got real passionate, and I was talking about, like, come on, man, like, we need to do better, you know what I mean? And in talking about that and everything that came about afterwards in terms of conversations of people saying, oh, you know, you shouldn't call out this type of behavior in the culture. Why not? I'm in this culture. I care about this culture. Well, I'm the most qualified to call out this type of behavior in the culture, or this hypocrisy in the culture. You know what I'm saying? Like, that right there, that made me say, all I'm doing is drawing a line in the sand and asking people in hip hop, what side are y'all on? Do you want to glorify righteousness, or do you want to glorify wretchedness and evil? That's it, man. Just say it. I'm not going to judge you either way, but pick a side, bro. Like, literally, like. And when I say that, I got to catch myself. When I say lines are drawn, like, pick your side, we just need to let it be silent after that and just sit with that. Like, what side do you really want to be on? Because a lot of people, they're like, and it's that cognitive dissonance of knowing, I know I'm a God-fearing, righteous person at the core of who I am, but I know that I get paid off of glorifying this type of music, or I get paid off of promoting the negative music, you know, with the evil messages in it. Like, dang, so I feel caught. And that's exactly what most of the industry is, bro. It's like, well, I'm this type of person in real life, or striving to be this type of person. I love God, I'm God-fearing, and I'm trying to do positive things. But yeah, I either got a taste for this music, for creating it, for consuming it, or for promoting it. And that right there, that just don't go, bro.
Yeah.
Those two things don't match. And the fact that they don't match, I'm simply saying, yep. So now that line is being drawn, the world will be better if everybody decide which side of the line they on.
When you drew that line on that Sway interview that you're just referring to, like it was clear what the message you were trying to put out there. But I know you received a lot of backlash for that. Do you feel like because you were very specific in the examples that you use, do you feel like the effectiveness of your message was kind of lost in all of that?
Nope.
Why so?
Absolutely not. Because I don't think I would be here right now if that interview hadn't happened. Let's keep it a buck.
That's how it works.
You wasn't reaching out to my people, no disrespect to you,
Yeah.
but you wasn't reaching out to my people to try to interview me prior to that, correct?
No. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I bet. Yeah. Breakfast Club. I wasn't on the Breakfast Club before that interview came out. They knew me, you feel me? Them brothers knew me, and them brothers, like, I genuinely feel like they respect me, you know? But the stars hadn't aligned to where I was on the Breakfast Club at that time. So yeah, there was backlash, but I've also seen that a conversation got sparked because, bro, if you want me to keep it 100, the backlash was probably about 3% of people.
Wow.
Yeah, no, the support was like 97% of people, bro.
Wow.
Yeah, the backlash was just loud because it came from some other artists, you know what I mean, and from some public figures. But they also got people who are way bigger, you know, public figures and artists who was like, amen, brother. You know what I'm saying? 100, you talking about Monique. Man, I got Monique DMing me, showing me love. You know, I got, bro, so many
people.
Bro,
I see the
rappers,
comments.
athletes, there you go.
It's
All you got to do is
unbelievable.
correct. And that's just the public stuff,
Yeah,
not to mention the
it's
ones
unbelievable.
that's hitting me up behind the scenes. So it was so much positive energy that came from that I realized this movement has been needed to be sparked. And now it's like, what do we do to keep the momentum going? So that's when I came up with the Platinum Pledge. You know, so the Platinum Pledge, I turned platinum into an acronym. People leading a transformation involving newly unified mindsets, right? Platinum Pledge is simply saying, we coming together and drawing a line in the sand and saying, we vow to not create, support, or promote music that's glorifying murder, drug dealing, disrespecting women, and sexual irresponsibility. You know what I mean? It's that simple. And I'm getting people to sign, bro. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people have been signing this stuff. I just got it on my website, Dee-1music.com, DEE, the number 1, music.com. People going there signing it. So now a community is forming around people who are like, yeah, we uniting behind that righteousness, you know what I'm saying? And now we want to figure out what we can do to make power moves and to let people know that we tired of that other stuff. So I found myself at the forefront of this movement. So now it's like, all right, this is way deeper than just rapping at this point.
Yeah.
The best part about all this is that in addition to all this stuff, like, I'm better than 95% of the rappers out here. You know?
Let's go. Let's
Straight
go.
up. That's big facts. That's big facts, bro. In a very real way. So I'm knowing, like, all right, I got the bars to back up anything that I'm saying, you know, any statements I'm making, any stance I'm taking. I got the bars to back that stuff up. And that is what make people feel threatened. Cause now they like, dang, we don't know what to do with him. He ain't clout chasing, like he been on this type of time.
Yeah.
He really lived this. He ain't just no fluke. He could really spit with the best of them. Like, dang. And hopefully it's just gonna make people after a while be like, you know what? If you can't beat him,
Join them.
join them.
Yeah.
Come join us, man. You know, we don't want no ops. I ain't got no op. My only op is the devil, bro. I don't have no op, bro. Like, what you mean? A human? No, man, like it's not people that's the enemies down here. It's the evil spirits that's working through people. So it's like, bro, I want us all to win at the end of the day. I do. But sometimes we gotta come up from the slumber that we've been in, to where we've been in this underworld and we've been getting celebrated in this underworld for doing all of the devil's work. Like, of course you're getting celebrated, but just because you're getting elevated don't mean that elevation is coming from God.
Yeah.
So many people in this industry,
Wow.
I don't think they understand the concept of that. They're like, man, what you mean? I just sold 1 million records. I just got this new car. Like, what you mean? You trying to tell me this? I just became a billionaire.
Right.
That don't mean that came from God, bro. It really don't. It's not about what you do. It's about how you're doing it. God don't care about our accomplishments and our career. He care about our character. And that's something to where if you can have a character that's Christ-like, and if you can still, with having that type of character, then still exemplify the skill set that you need to have to rise in the ranks in this industry, then cool. But God not gonna be like, oh, D, this artist sold more records than you, Dee-1, so I'm more pleased with this person's life than your life, D. Man, God don't care about that stuff. So I stopped caring about that stuff. Straight up. It's a different scoreboard that I'm looking at. That's the thing. The world teaches all of us, look at this scoreboard. That scoreboard is like based on how much money you got, just all this vanity, all this materialism. And that's what this world is about, is simply that, you know? How many followers you got, like just so much stuff that you look at God's scoreboard and it's like, whoa, hold on, man. Your scoreboard don't look like the world's scoreboard at all. Like, you care about a whole different set of things, you know? Like, you don't care about how big my platform was. You just care about how good of a steward I was of whatever size platform I had. So people sitting here chasing just numbers numerically and chasing size, but God is like, but how deep are you going with the people that you've been entrusted to have as your followers? Where are you leading the people who are your followers? You feel me? What people fall victim to is they'll fool around and think that you're not successful if you don't have the things that they deem to be like, oh yeah, you winning according to this scoreboard. And then they'll say, well, if you're not successful, why would I listen to you? That's why I feel so blessed. Dog, I'm on your podcast right now. I'm in New York, man. It's a long way from New Orleans East, where I'm from. You feel me? It's a long way from there. I was on the Breakfast Club a few hours ago. This a long way from rapping in a trailer after Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans and recording, you know, sleeping head to toe with my producer, and we waking up and we trying to do as many songs as we could in a day. Like, this a long way from being a artist in college that's just passing out mixtapes on campus, writing with a permanent marker on there with my cell phone number on there, telling people, listen to me, check me out. So I see the fruit of my labor at this point. I see it. And other people see it as well, because it's kind of undeniable at this point. So now, because of that, I know I'm in a position to where it's like, bro, the bigger I get, the bolder I need to get. Most people, they like, oh, shoot, I'm getting bigger. Now I got to figure out how to have, you know, have like the widest appeal possible. Like, dang, I got a bigger audience. How I'm going to appeal to all these different types of people? I'm like, bro, the bigger I get, I'm just doing this for an audience of one the whole time. That helps me stay so focused, bro. So focused, bro. I remember doing the BET Awards, the HipHop, the HipHop Awards, doing the cypher. And I showed Charlamagne a text earlier today of him. He had tweeted, this was 10 years ago, dog. I was on there. Charlamagne tweeted, Dee-1 spitting, you know what I mean? And although to the world I did my thing, I was sitting here thinking like, bro, it was so difficult for me to feel happy with what I did, because I know that I wasn't trying to please an audience of one. I was trying to please an audience of millions. I remember how stressful it was thinking like, what can I rap that's gonna appeal to people from the West Coast to the East Coast to down South that's gonna appeal to men and women from their teens all the way into their 40s and 50s, and something that's so easy for me, which is rapping, and so effortless for me, you know what I mean? Like rapping, it became something that was stressful and that I couldn't figure out what I wanted to rap, and I was going back and forth and so indecisive, which isn't like me, but that's what happens when you double-minded. It says that in the word. You're unstable in all of your ways at that point. And I was being double-minded. I was like, God, I'm trying to please you. But then 10 minutes later, world, I'm trying to please y'all. God, I'm trying to please you. World, I'm trying to please y'all. You feel me?
To stay on that topic a little bit, during that moment, I heard you express that you dealt with depression, suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder, how were you able to align with your trust in God better?
Yeah. Man, I had just put a lot of pressure on myself to become a star in the world's eyes, right? And when I realized that whether or not I'm ever a star to the world, like I'm really a star to God because he chose to create me. Like God could have made me be a blue light bulb or something. God could have made me be a red White Sox hat, you know? God chose to make me into an actual living human being.
Yeah.
So because of that, I was like, whoa, I'm already validated, like with or without.
At birth.
Yeah, or like already validated from birth. And it's one thing for people to tell you some positive stuff in your ear and you just take it in and you like, all right, cool, I appreciate the words of wisdom. It's another thing for you to really get it and for it to sink in.
Absolutely.
And I had to realize that, like, man, nobody can predict what all is gonna happen to them in life. But at the end of it, God is gonna just be like, yo, did you do everything in your power to make me proud? That's it. With however much time I gave you down there. And even when you make mistakes, and even when you don't do things the right way, it's okay. Because as long as you don't give up on me, I won't give up on you. Wow. And I was like, dang, in this moment, I just can't give up on the power of God. Like, God is bigger than anybody who could validate me by saying, oh yeah, D-1 a problem. That boy D-1 killed this. D-1 the next up. D-1 is this. No matter what somebody else's opinion of me is, they'll never love me as much as the person that like gave me life. You feel me? So once that really clicked to me, that's when I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get this life thing another shot. Cause at one time I was definitely feeling like, dang, like I don't have nothing else to live for if there's not if it's not going to involve me being this big star in the world's eyes. And that's crazy that I had minimized my whole existence
to that scoreboard.
Am I winning on that scoreboard, on the world's scoreboard, you know?
Do you think that there's a space where conversations could be stronger than music?
Absolutely. Bro, I love doing podcasts. I love it because I can say so much in here that I can't fit into a 16-bar verse or even two 16-bar
24,
verses and a hook. You know what I'm saying? It's so much that you can say through long-form content that some people, they'll be like, man, I don't even listen to rap music. I love you as a conversationalist. I love you as a thinker, and the way that you just speak and spit what's on your heart, you connect with me on that level. And for some people, I'm just like, you know what? I'm more than just a rapper. I'm a communicator, and rap is one of the forms that I use to communicate.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm absolutely positively grateful for other ways that I could, you know, reach people through just speech at this point, man. What's up, y'all? This your boy, D-1. I'm with my dog, Art, right now. You heard me? That's really my partner. And with that being said, Joe, I got my new album, From the Hood to Harvard, out right now. You could go get it on the streaming platforms, or you could come directly to me, you heard me, and get the art from the artist on my website, D1music.com, D-E-E, the number 1, music.com. And guess what, man? I got a children's book out. So if you got any youth in your life that you love, make sure you get them David Found His Slingshot. It's an anti-bullying hip-hop children's book, man. But anyway, after you go get both of them things, let's get back to the interview.
When I was thinking about, you know, your resume, you work hand in hand with the youth. The Breakfast Club had Dr. Phil on the show a couple of days ago, and he said something that kind of stood out to me when I was thinking about you. He said, if you want to create chaos in society, you start by attacking the children. And that the reason why that made me think about you, because I'm like basically that's what you're trying to do, right? Is to help set things up for the next generation. And is it even possible with all the distractions that we have now in this society, the distraction that we have, is it even possible for parent to parent the way that they need to parent, for community leader to lead the way that they need to lead with all the external influence that the youth have? Is that even possible now?
The more we educate, the less we incarcerate. Keep that in mind, bro. I'm all about doing this so that we can pour into the youth because they still innocent. They not brainwashed yet, but they are rapidly being attacked with all those distractions that you were talking about. Rapidly being attacked. So now it's just like if you see somebody attacking one of your loved ones, are you gonna sit there and just let it happen and just watch it? Or are you gonna be like, whoa, I'm fighting back? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm fighting back. Like I see y'all trying to attack my loved one. I'm finna jump in front of them. I'm finna fight you before you reach them. You feel me? That's what we having to do. And we fighting on behalf of our babies. That is what we doing right now, bro. So I'm fighting by being an activist, like you said, a social justice activist, being an educator, being an entertainer. I'm fighting with everything in me. It's like, yeah, like I'm doing all this stuff on behalf of them babies, man. Because they are being attacked. And once they get warped, and once you see that the little girl is 4 years old and she's singing Sexy Red and she said, hands on your knees, shake that for Drake, now shake that for me. And you seeing these videos being made by kindergartners and preschoolers, you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. The onslaught has begun.
Yeah.
This is not just innocent fun. This has deeper implications to it. That's gonna go into what these kids are gonna grow up valuing, what these kids are gonna grow up desiring, and what these kids are gonna grow up doing. And ultimately, bro, what are we doing right now? We made it to adulthood. We don't know how long we're gonna be here for, true, but we made it to adulthood, man. What are we doing to help the kids who can't fight for themselves right now? That's my question to everybody. And if I say that, and if people sitting here looking at me like, well, then maybe the people that's looking at me like that need to do some self-reflection and be like, dang, am I part of the fight?
Yeah.
You know what? And which side of the fight am I on? Am I one of the distractions that's actually hurting the youth? Or am I one of the people that's fighting against the distractions that was sent here to hurt the youth? We all got to self-reflect and ask ourselves that. Because we are adults. We have no excuses. We got to stop saying, well, we've been traumatized, so because of that, man, your trauma that you haven't gotten over, now that's gonna what? That's gonna be used as an excuse for you to not handle your responsibilities as an adult? Come on, man. And now you got all these artists. Listen, when we talk about rap, you got all these artists with all of this undealt with trauma, right? And what they do is they end up getting an audience of millions. Because the music industry doesn't want to help you heal, they want to monetize you. So now you got these artists that's been dealing with trauma since childhood who got a record deal and they got a big platform and now they become the heroes to their whole community, to all their people. They become the heroes to them, right? Really, all they doing is pushing their trauma onto their audience that's listening to them over and over.
Absolutely. We sell it.
You want somebody that's already traumatized to now be considered a leader, a hero, a legend, an icon to their people? Now these people getting secondhand trauma just by listening to your music over and over and over, memorizing it, hearing all of this stuff being pushed on them, man. That stuff is a disease, bro. And we gotta really see it as that. Like we can't minimize it to be anything less. That stuff is scary, dog. That stuff is scary.
I think and this is not to make an excuse for it at all, but in a lot of ways we've been socially like trained to accept it. Like you think about Pac absolutely sold trauma, you know what I mean? But on the flip side of it, we seen it as like a level of heroism, a level of just advocacy because of so many other things that went with a part of his nature. So I can see how we got to this place because some of the people in the beginning of it, it's like Black people have always sold trauma, you know, and it's like when we see people sell trauma, we feel I can relate. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's one of mine. That's how I can discern that you're one of my people based upon the fact that we got similar struggles. So I can understand. It doesn't make it right, but
it definitely don't make it right. Here's the thing, man. We doing all this talking, but do we really want to see things change? That's the question. Do we really want to see things change? If we want to see things change, then we have to be willing to practice. There's two types of love, right? In hip hop, we think that if you're not just showering somebody with compliments, then you just a hater.
Facts. Yeah, facts.
Yeah.
That's the culture.
That's the problem, bro. That's the problem. Yeah. What they don't realize is there's affirmative love. Affirmative love is when, you want to big up somebody. Oh, man, I love them Nikes, you heard me? Mm-hmm. Oh, I love them New Balances. Oh, bro, I love how y'all got the podcast set up. I'm affirming you, right? Mm-hmm. But transformative love is a different type of love, to where it's like, I'm going to affirm you when needed, but then I'm also going to say, when needed, I need to be able to lovingly correct you and say like, that ain't healthy for what we trying to accomplish as a people, for what you trying to accomplish as an individual and being the best version of yourself. That ain't healthy right there, brother. I got to call you out on that. You saying you want this podcast to blow up, but y'all came late to your own podcast. Somebody got to tell you about yourself at a certain point.
He's not talking about them.
I'm definitely not talking about them. But
I really want to stay here real quick, because him and I was really just having this conversation. Like I was telling him about the transformative love, we want to call it a theory that you have. And I was explaining it to him, and I was like, the way how I digested it was like your parents, you know, like your parents love you, but they gotta critique, they gotta be honest with you, they gotta tough love you, your parents are not just gonna let you go out there and just wild free. Like that's they're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, you just said
so
that.
I when I was reading about that, I'm like, oh man, that reminds me of my mom. Like, that's how my mom holds me accountable for any BS I do. She still loves me. That doesn't mean my mom doesn't love me. So it's like, we can still love the culture. We can still love what we do, but we also got to hold it accountable.
There you go, brother.
Yeah,
that's what I'm on.
Yeah.
That is absolutely how we have to coexist with this culture.
Yeah.
And in doing that, it's kind of like a new space, because the instant knee-jerk reaction is, wait, you criticizing a rapper, or you just hating on that person? Or you clout chasing? You know, like, that's the instant knee-jerk reaction to all this type of stuff. And it's like, no, bro, you don't understand how much I love this. Like, everything, all the blessings that I have as an adult, they all came from rapping. You know,
got a record on the project too from rapping.
This came from rapping.
Yeah.
You know, the whole song just of me reflecting it, being like, God, dog, that house I own, this came from rapping. That car I own, this came from rapping. No student loans, this came from rapping. Shawty on my own, this came from rapping. You know what I mean?
You on that record, you talked about visiting the White House. Was that an actual experience? Can you talk about that? What was that conversation?
Yes, man. I was visiting the White House, talking to the policymakers about how we can open up funding for Black entrepreneurs and for Black business owners in a way that the governmental funding is more equitable, to where either we are made aware that this stuff exists, because a lot of Black entrepreneurs, we trying to figure out how to bootstrap our own businesses. Absolutely. We don't know about venture capital.
Wow.
We don't know about governmental grants, to where they got hundreds of millions of dollars allocated to go towards people who got business ideas and all this type of stuff. So it was talking about that. It was really talking about financial empowerment, man. So when I found myself at the White House, I'm like, they didn't invite David to the White House. They invited Dee-1 to the White House. I'm like, this came from rapping.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, straight up.
Man, so that's so important that you just said that.
Yeah.
Because, like, God damn it. I almost just want to, like, stay here, because that's so important. You're right. They did not invite David, which is your real name for those who don't know. But they invited. So, to your point, it's like, yo, a rapper can do this. You know what I mean? That almost showed us kids or a youth or whoever, it's like, yo, you can do this and still be in the company of people at the White House, or be in the company of this. You don't have to, push certain agendas or narratives. So that was important that you highlighted that.
Really important, bro, because I don't want them to think that you have to be one-dimensional as a rapper. Well, since I rap, I can only talk about these certain topics, or else I'm gonna get labeled too positive, or I'm gonna get labeled too much of a man of God, or this, that, or the third. Man, listen, bro. For whatever they try to label me, I don't have no box on me. At this point, clearly, bro, some people call me a conscious rapper. Some people call me a Christian rapper. Some people say he just a dude with a real message. He just a lyrical dude who don't curse. You know, some people will say, man, I don't even look at Dee-1 as just a rapper because he a college professor at this point, and he is a real estate owner and you know, got all these other business ventures. He's an author. He got his new children's book out. Like, yes, I'm all of that stuff, bro. And we are all of that stuff. We are not limited to this one box that the world might want to like push us into and say, oh, you that. No, man. We all got multiple facets of who we are. So I think it's important. I think it's important that we feel good about showcasing all those things to people, man. Like it's okay to smile. Growing up, you know, I don't think it was normalized for rappers to be able to smile.
Absolutely not.
Explain that.
All right.
I don't know.
Man, I actually have one of my albums. It's called The Focus Tape, right? When you go and you look at it and you look at the album cover, that was my best attempt at having what I considered a rapper mean mug, right? on the cover of this album. And I remember how hard it was for me to do this because I don't naturally just be mean mugged, you know what I mean? Naturally, I be having like a pretty pleasant demeanor and disposition about myself. But I remember thinking,
that's how rappers.
But this is how rappers be looking on their album covers. So I gotta look like this.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Gotta play the part.
I gotta play the part. I remember, and that was earlier in my career. But I was like, I gotta play the part. 3 years later, a lot had transpired. I had signed my deal with RCA. I had did the BET HipHop Awards. I had traveled the world at that point, touring. And I realized, like, man, authenticity is what's gonna go further than trying to fit into this box of what you think a rapper supposed to dress like, supposed to talk like, supposed to look like. So 3 years later, I put an EP out called Threes Up. Man, I had the biggest smile on my face on that album cover, and I did that on purpose, right? I was like, I wanted to show the growth from the last project I put out, right? Where I was mean mugged, trying to play the role of what I thought a rapper should look like, into, man, I'm comfortable in my own skin. And when you think about Dee-1, you're gonna think about a dude that's really just fun, easygoing, and honestly full of joy. Like my joy is my weapon that I use in this world, bro. I don't have to walk around with a gun or nothing like that. My joy is my weapon.
Joy is your weapon.
You feel me?
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow, this is amazing, bro.
Tell me this. Let me ask y'all if y'all don't mind.
Go ahead.
Cause when I had these type of conversations, I really be wondering, what is the next step from people being like, dang, that's some real stuff that we talking about, man. Like, I'm really reflecting upon myself and upon this industry, like, and just how people. What's the next step from that to like actually seeing change or occur, or actually seeing progress? Because what I think exists now in the world is kind of like this phenomenon of information porn. Okay. To where people are addicted to being like, oh yeah, I listen to podcasts. Yeah. That makes me smart, you know? I just like to follow the Instagram pages that have the motivational quotes on them, you know, because it makes me feel like, yeah, I'm just pouring positivity and knowledge into myself, you know? I read the Bible, I stay in my word. That's cool, but there's a big drop-off between people who are consuming all of this information and people who are applying what they're consuming.
Oh, for sure.
So I'm curious about that, because at this point, I done had enough people tell me, bro, that's so powerful, man. Thank you for that. Right. Man, that's real. You're a real one, D. Man, I salute you for everything you're doing, bro. Da-da-da. That's all good, but at this point, I'm more interested in how can we ensure that some change and some progress is gonna actually happen?
I don't think you can actually ensure it, but I think what needs to be done is what you're doing already. Like, I think my next question was gonna be, like hip hop has like historically been known to not favor people to challenge it. You know what I mean? Back in the day when they had the source, any type of write-up, if you spoke about my project unfavorably in any type of way, I might catch you in the streets. Like that's the culture that we come from. You coming into this game, fresh look, fresh aesthetic, fresh mentality, wearing your love for God on your sleeve, and you calling people out, you holding people accountable. That's not something we've ever seen before. You know what I mean? Like some of my favorite rappers are Lupe Fiasco, Common. I love conscious rap, right? But I can't tell you about a specific time where they were just like, yo, this is wrong though. You know what I mean? And there's a level of fearlessness that's inside of you that comes from being anointed truly, where it's like, these are dangerous people if we're gonna believe them based upon the music. These are dangerous people, you know what I mean? They're insinuating getting people knocked off, having the money to do it. We hear about all the social media news behind scenes, people's cars getting shot up, people getting jumped. We all aware of this. You speak still though. You still speak out loud. And so I think that you're literally embodying it because you're the first of your kind in a lot of different ways. My question to you though is like, where does that kind of fearlessness come from? Because people do get touched in hip hop, but you walk in a way where it's like, yo, he feel like he's safe.
Because my God is bigger than any of your weapons, your threats, your youngins who you gonna pay, you know what I mean, to come and do something. Yeah. My God is bigger than all of that. And when I say my God, I'm talking about our God, bro.
God, yeah.
And that's who I'm focused on, man. So just like, look, God, you got me. We all gonna die one day anyway. So if we truly wanted to be fearful, then we should be fearful every single day because we could be like, this might be my last one. It's so much that I can't control about this world that we live in that I need to be fearful. So either be all the way fearful or be all the way bold and courageous. You know what I mean? So either be all the way fearful or be all the way fearless.
I think to answer your question,
mic drop.
For me, it was more like trying to experience something that I completely disagree with, but learn from it. Because like I told you before this interview, like a lot of your messaging, he can attest to everything. I was like, I don't agree with it at all. And I literally told him, but I think that's where doing the research comes in. Like I literally spent this week, the week prior, like 2-3 weeks of just researching you, watching pretty much a lot of your interviews, reading almost every article, not every, but most articles that was written about you, reading comments, like just literally research. I can show you my phone. I literally have just everything. And I think learning about you, I was like, and I told him too, I was like, my intention was to come to this interview to like debate you and come at you and like, no, why are you doing this to my rappers? You know what I mean? That was literally my intention. But just doing my research and learning, I started questioning myself.
Wow.
So I think,
this got to go viral. No, we need 1 million views like on this. This is
that's not the intention, but I think to to your question that you asked, that's the approach that I'm coming from. Whereas like I'm coming in here and I'm not just saying this because you're here. He can attest to it because me and him argue for days. Literally, because he's on your the message you're preaching. He's been saying the same. So me and him, I was using him as you. Okay, like how I'm about to come argue with you. I was arguing with him for days. I'm like, nah. I'm like, nah.
I love his transparency.
And so it was just so real for me to like eat my own words. Basically, it's like when I'm doing my own research, finally. It's like, oh shit, okay, I understand what's going on. And back to the whole parent thing, I think that analogy helped me a lot because when I broke it down to him, I was like, nah, it's really just your parents still love you, but sometimes they gotta let you know that's not it.
That's it, bro. Bro, that's all this is, bro. Yeah. It's definitely coming from a place of love, you know what I mean? How can I express how much I have been impacted by this culture, man, without seeming like I'm coming from a inauthentic place. Like how can I express to people that the only music that I have ever listened to is rap? You know, like I want people to know how much of this is just in my blood, in my veins, like everything. And for me to have made a living off of being a rapper for my entire adult life, except for 2 years when I was a middle school teacher. Other than that, man, rap is what, like, I'm a professional rapper, literally. Bro, I simply want to see better for everybody in this industry. And that means that's the creators and that's the consumers. I want to see better for everybody in this industry. For the creators, I see past it nowadays, bro. I see past if you got a few million followers or if you done went platinum or whatever. I see past all that. That don't mean that you are fulfilling your God-given purpose in this world. You can't stand before God and be like, yeah, God, so all that murder music I made, that was, that was just me in character. That was just entertaining.
I had to feed the family.
Yeah, I just had to feed the family. Man, you can't pull that with God. You can't. There's no, and if somebody's like, well, D, I don't believe in God. Cool. Now we having a whole different conversation now, right?
Yeah.
But if everybody is quick to be like, hey, heck yeah, I believe in God. What you mean? Absolutely. Like, proudly, I rock with God. Then cool. Then we can't sit here and act like, man, it's okay to have a whole life of doing things that God wouldn't be proud of, but because we got paid for it, we justify why we were doing it.
I'm glad you, my bad, Wolf.
Go ahead.
I'm glad you brought up God because there was a question I wanted to ask you, but I'm like, damn, I don't know if this is a stupid question, but so I've been like hesitant to ask you it, but I wanted to ask you like who is God when you speak of God? Who is God, and can people or how do you suggest what source people go to understand and know God? If that makes sense. But I didn't know if that was a stupid question, because when you say who's God, people be like, man, God. And when you say what source, the Bible. But I think not a lot of people fall into that category of reading the Bible or believing in God. But I think people believe in there's this higher entity, that this divine spirit that they believe in. So for you, I don't know if you want to answer that, feel free. But that's just a question that it's been floating in my head that I felt I wanted to ask you, but I didn't know if it was like a stupid question. Because you say, who is God?
No, that's an amazing question, because all we know is that we were here one day. We just know, like, I just remember being a little kid, and then I grew up and I looked in the mirror and I saw what I looked like, and I got fingers and I got toes. That's what we know of ourselves. But as we get older and we start to be like, well, wait, where did I come from? I came from my parents. Well, where did my parents come from? They came from their parents. Well, and then you just start to think big, like, well, where did the world come from and everything? As far as God is, and I'm talking about one God, not multiple gods. You know what I'm saying? One God, the originator, the creator of everything that exists. And God has no creator. God has no person that was like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna make you and I'm gonna name you God. So God is actually so huge that we can't even fathom someone who always was and always will be, right? So now when people start to talk about, well, what do you direct people towards? That is why the living form of God in human form was Jesus, right? The only perfect human being to ever walk this earth. So God is like, you know what? People can't all the way relate to me, man. Like I'm a spirit, and I'm pretty intimidating. I'm God, and I'm pretty intimidating. And I'm gonna allow myself to exist in human form. This will be my son, essentially. This is spiritually my son. This is Jesus Christ. This is going to be somebody that's unlike anybody else. You know why? Because he was born from a virgin. Like he ain't even get conceived sexually the way all of y'all had to get conceived. You know what I mean? This is clearly something that, hey, I divinely orchestrated the birth of this person. But now that I'm gonna exist in human form, there will be a living example of what it's like to deal with temptation, to deal with getting backstabbed by your partners, to deal with getting hurt and getting threatened for, getting your life threatened. And they're going to be able to see how Jesus dealt with all this and ultimately getting crucified, getting actually killed. You heard me? Like they killed you. Like you were sitting here being a blessing, doing miracles for people, healing the sick, curing the blind, like raising people from the dead, all this stuff. And they still chose to betray you and hang you on a cross, man.
Put you on display.
And put you on display, bro. So with all that being said, I'm going to show you all how you are supposed to strive to be, like how Jesus was. And with doing that, it's like, oh, now I see what I'm reading this Bible for. I understand, I believe this, number one, and it does make sense to me because it's like, if this didn't exist, then none of this don't make sense to me, bro. Like none of this. It's almost like, man, I don't even want to be here if none of this don't have a purpose to it. You feel me?
Right.
Like I don't even want to be here. But it's like, oh no, life does have a purpose now. It totally makes sense that God would create us, but ultimately the war is within ourselves to be like, are we gonna have the distractions take us over and take all of our time and energy while we're here on earth for a limited temporary season? Or are we gonna get connected to our source and to saying, you know what, I'm here to use my gifts and talents to please you with my life. It's one or the other, bro. We've all got caught up in the distractions, but every day we gotta humble ourselves and be like, dang, all right, all these distractions coming my way, but I know that my purpose is bigger than these distractions. We gotta have the power to be able to do that, man. And that's the war that's really being fought. It's not all of these other dilemmas that we think we're having, like, oh, do I call an Uber or do I call a Lyft today? Oh, do I, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do I go to this concert or do I go to that concert? Man, it's really, do I live life? Do I live life, my one life, aiming to please an audience of one and knowing what he wants from me is all right there in the word, it's in the Bible? Or do I live life trying to please an audience of, we got 8 billion people in this world now? Of 8 billion people and trying to be a people pleaser. Yeah, and constantly trying to gain approval and acceptance and favor from the world. Man, favor from God is what got me here.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
We got to wrap up real quick. You got any more?
I just wanted to add, everything you said was beautiful. And for anybody that's listening and you having curiosities and questions about God, somewhere in the Bible, whether you read the Bible or not, but somewhere in the Bible it says, lean not to your own understanding and trust in all the ways that I do. And I think the most important part about it is the word trust. Even if you're curious about God, you're familiar with trust and what that feels like. And when you have faith in something, faith is something that to believe in God is something you can't see, right? It's like I can't necessarily describe it tangibly, but you have faith that your parent is gonna be there to support you, your homie gonna be there, you got faith that the check gonna get there, So we all are familiar with how to utilize faith. And where you are right now, you might not understand a lot. So maybe hearing this one day will make a lot more sense to you later, but it's like, trust in all the ways that I do and lean not to your own understanding. It's a lot to understand everything is not possible. You know what I mean? Like no matter how much you educate yourself, like you got the most intellectual people in the world that get to the top of the mountain just to realize like, wow, like you'll never really learn it all, So you can find a peace in not knowing everything with some practice. And it comes with trust. And if you trust God, it's like, you ain't gonna never, it's worse it could ever be. It never really gets that bad when you put your faith in God. Even when it seems like your world is crumbling down, it's like, it never really is though.
That's powerful, yo.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Like I said, listen, fellas, we're gonna reach people with this interview, obviously. But what I'm realizing too about these conversations is for us to make sure that we are leaving these conversations as better versions of ourselves. You feel me? Like it's really important. That's why I love having these, because this keeps me sharp. And it's like, dang, bro, I'm putting all this out there into the world. I gotta make sure that I'm actually practicing this. And by practicing this, that means that I'm staying sharp and I'm staying focused on gaining God's approval and not watering down my message or watering down my gifts to try to please people. It's just, I want to empower other people, but I want to remind myself to do the same. So I just really hope that we can all, leave this conversation better versions of ourselves. The most powerful thing was when you said, man, I was ready to come in here and argue with you. You know what I'm saying? And then when it's like, but the more I researched, I was like, man, it's kind of hard to argue with what the man is like talking about or what he's on. That right there doesn't make me like pat myself on the back. that just lets me know that the truth, when you are like walking in truth, and not my truth, but the truth is something that really a righteous person, like I could tell you a righteous brother, a righteous person can't even try to argue with the truth and feel good about themselves because they know deep down, like, man, this man ain't doing nothing but serving God. What I look like trying to go against that? You feel me? And that's powerful, bro. And that is a testament that we need other people to just be bold enough to say, man, I can't even go against somebody who I know is trying to simply please God. Like there's no debating that. I might not be there yet, but maybe that's my wake-up call to want to get there, you know? But I can't make that person seem like they're wrong for who they serving and what they representing. That's powerful, bro. We need more of that in hip-hop.
Nah, thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you for all you're doing. Thank you for your service. There was a lot I wanted to get to. We didn't get to. Hopefully in the near future, I would love to build with you again.
We're going to double back.
Because I read your book, your children's book, and it was phenomenal. I bought a copy, and I'm gonna buy another copy for my little brother.
Wow.
And send it to him. He needs to read it because he's going through a rough path right now. He's 7 years old, but I think reading that is gonna help him find his purpose, which I think the book is about.
Yeah,
so.
And now that we connected like this, when you do that, let me know, and we're gonna hook up a FaceTime phone call for your little bro and everything. You heard? Be like, yeah, this is the one who wrote the book. Yeah,
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, the project is out. I mean, it's been out for a minute, but it's out right now.
It just hit streaming platforms last week. I had it out for 2 months, but it wasn't on streaming. I did the name your own price model. You heard me? To where I let my fans come to my website, D1music.com, and they were able to just come and purchase the album, name their own price, right? So I love doing it like that because my fans, bro, like that's a community of people who I have built that really want to see me win. Yeah. So they pour into me like crazy, bro, when I give them the opportunity to. So they came and thousands of people were naming their own price, getting the art directly from me. That was a blessing. Then I was like, okay, some people ain't gonna do that. They only gonna get it on the streaming platforms. So then I put it on the streaming platforms last week. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay.
Real quick, streams or direct sales?
For me, direct sales. I've been more successful with putting this latest album out, From the Hood to Harvard, with direct sales. I have made more than I would have made in about 5 years of streaming off of putting one album in direct sales, bro.
Nipsey did something like that,
ladies and gentlemen.
Nipsey did something like that, yeah. Yeah, he did, he called it the Proud to Pay campaign. So he charged his audience $100 for his mixtape.
Absolutely.
I let them name their own price.
Yeah.
Some people, hey, he'll go 20 for it. Some people, he'll go 10 for it. Some people, he'll go 500 for your album.
Some people,
you know what's so crazy
he'll
about
go $1,000 for your album.
You know what's so interesting, and I promise we'll wrap up, but what's so interesting about what you're saying and what you're doing is, to your point earlier, is like, what can you do with somebody who don't want nothing? You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want money, you don't want fame, you don't want clout, you don't want nothing. Like, what can you do with that kind of person? Because normally people be like, oh, he just want clout. You can see this and this. Right. But it's like, I put my album out. You can buy it however you want to buy it. Yeah. What can you do with a person? That's what's so mind-blowing. It's like, man, this person's this is God, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's nothing. What other explanation do you have?
It's a man who has fully surrendered his life to God. Yeah. And who is just like, God, you got me in this industry right now. So since I'm in this industry, I'm going to do my best to make your name more and more and more known to people and let people know that I'm simply trying to be like Jesus. Y'all trying to be like y'all favorite rappers. I'm trying to be like Jesus, you feel me? And in doing that, I got to be humble. I got to be selfless, but I got to be great at what I do. I also got to be relentless about pursuing the you know how people say they're standing on business nowadays? I got to be standing on the right type of business, though. I got to stand on that kingdom business, you feel me? And that's
standing on Christ.
Yeah, bro, like that's people
banging that sea.
Yeah, you could be standing on clown business, you know what I mean? And we don't know it, bro. People say they're standing on business, but they don't even know what that really means. So, bro, at this point,
stand on purpose, man.
That's it, bro. That's it. And that's why
stand on purpose.
Bro, I'm so grateful for these type of platforms because it's just allowing people to see like, all right. And on top of all that, let me rap right quick before we wrap up.
serious?
Yeah, let me spit. Yeah, what you mean?
Oh.
Yeah, at least a 16, you know, something.
Ooh,
Something.
that's
yeah.
your camera right there, man.
That's me.
Ooh, I wish I had my phone. Oh, I do
got
have
you,
my
God.
phone. Can we all record this in
Yeah,
real
you can
life
record
time?
this, yeah.
That's fire.
You ready?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Look, what's the point of writing all of these lyrics if I'm rapping to an audience that ain't trying to hear it? They'd rather me blow a bag than rap about building wealth. They'd rather me get some brain than rap about mental health. Don't censor me. Eventually, try to make sense of me. I don't need your dollars. I need you to think sensibly. You feel good now that you're vegan. Huh, that's funny. If you still promoting garbage, you just a healthy dummy. My city don't even love me. I'm calling it how it is. I'm a threat to the power structure that's brainwashing our kids. I'm fracturing all the egos of illegitimate heroes. I only look up to one man, cause he died, then he rose. I keep it too real, cause life don't last too long. If everybody likes me, I'm doing something too wrong. Maybe in time, they'll appreciate my words like Nipsey. Till then, I'ma see how far keeping it real gets me. You did.
Standing
That's how
ovation.
you end it, man.
Yeah.
That's how you end it.
Yeah.
Man, thank you so much, man.
Appreciate
you,
y'all, man.
I really,
Honor,
really
bro.
do. I know the moment you had with the Breakfast Club and you wanted to express that to them, I want to express that same to you because I really do appreciate you taking your time
Yeah.
to come and do this. This
Yeah.
is very, 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 very highly, and I want to thank you for that. So
Thank you, brother.
you so much.
This is awesome.
And thank you too, Will, for
yeah,
joining.
bro. All this was great, bro.
Honor, bro.
Like this was perfect. Like I didn't realize that this ain't every episode that y'all don't do it.
No. It was just like I said in the beginning. I think when you're having a high level of conversation, you know, bring in that person that can also
Yes.
meet that
Yeah.
playing field. So he
Yes.
was the right person. No, there's no choice. So it was
Yeah,
just
he
we
did
had
me.
to
He
come
did
in.
me a huge favor doing this for real.
Nah,
Man.
we don't want to talk about that. He's
Come
just a
on.
humble dude. He's just a humble dude.
man.
But thank you so much,
Thank
D1.
y'all.
All right, everybody. Make sure y'all tune in. We'll see y'all. Peace.